Life confronts us with an undeniable truth. People come and go. We build relationships, form deep connections, and often anchor our emotions to those bonds. But what happens when those connections break? How do we cope with the emotional weight when someone no longer holds the same place in our lives, or when we realize they were never as invested as we thought? You might ask yourself, how do I stop caring? Or, can I truly let go emotionally without losing part of myself? This is where Stoicism, particularly the philosophy of Marcus Aurelius, offers us a guiding path. The Stoics were masters at understanding human emotions, not by avoiding them, but by learning to balance their influence in our lives. Emotional detachment doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent. Rather, it's about reclaiming the power to act with clarity and inner peace. In today's video, I'll guide you through 5 timeless Stoic principles for emotionally detaching from someone, using Marcus Aurelius's wisdom as our guiding light. This isn't just theory. These are practical insights designed to reshape how you engage with yourself and others. Join me in exploring a path to true emotional freedom, where you can love deeply without being bound and care profoundly without losing yourself. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. It means a lot to us. Thank you for your support. Let's dive in. Rule 1. Recognize the temporary nature of everything. Have you ever tried to hold a handful of sand on the beach? The tighter you grip, the faster the sand slips through your fingers. Life is much the same. Everything is fleeting, like the passing breeze. What we hear is just opinion, not absolute truth. What we see is merely a personal perspective, not reality. Often, we cling to the story we've built about someone, the meaning we've assigned to them in our lives. But the truth is simpler. Every relationship is temporary. I once had a friendship that lasted 10 years. We shared everything, from dreams and fears to late-night conversations. But over time, things began to change. At first, I was confused and tried to resist the shift, holding tightly to the memories and emotions I had invested in that friendship. But the harder I tried to hold on, the more those memories felt like a burden, a chain binding me to someone who no longer reciprocated in the same way. It wasn't until I fully accepted that this friendship had reached its end that I found relief. This is the natural law of life. The more we try to possess something, the easier it slips away. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." This reminder helped me realize that, rather than being consumed by stories I had crafted in my mind, I needed to see things clearly and realistically. Instead of suffering by holding on, choose to accept the impermanent nature of all relationships. Appreciate the present moment. Allow things to come and go naturally. Ask yourself, if I let go of something today, would I feel more at peace? When you understand and accept this, the pain of loss becomes much lighter. This is the essence of Stoicism, not to make us cold, but to help us live more grounded and peacefully, free from unnecessary burdens. Rule 2. Control emotions through rational thinking. Here's a question I often ask myself whenever I'm anxiously awaiting a reply. Is this unease coming from their delay in responding, or is it rooted in my own interpretations? At first, it starts as mild worry, then turns into restlessness, and finally may lead to anger, all these emotions sweeping us away like an uncontrollable storm. Many of us believe we're slaves to our emotions. We think that pain, sadness, and anger are unavoidable natural responses. But here's an essential truth. Emotions aren't objective reality. They're simply the way our minds interpret what's happening. Let's consider a common experience most of us have been through: a breakup. In these moments, we often fall into a cycle of replaying memories, analyzing every small detail, and obsessing over the question, why? We suffer when we see the other person seeming to move on so easily. But instead of letting ourselves sink into these negative emotions, Stoic philosophy offers an alternative approach, one that encourages us to look at the objective truth, broaden our perspective, and choose thoughts that liberate rather than imprison us. Let me share a personal experience. I was talking to a close friend about something important, and suddenly they stopped responding. At first I thought nothing of it, but as time went by, unease crept into my mind. Are they mad at me? Did I say something wrong? By the end of the day, my mind had concocted an entirely bleak scenario that our friendship was on the brink. But when I took a step back and calmly re-examined the situation, I realized something surprisingly simple. Nothing had actually happened. My friend was simply busy. When they reached out the next day, they responded completely normally, unaware of the emotional storm I had created in my head. This experience taught me a crucial lesson. The mind is the true master of emotions. It's not external events, but how we perceive and interpret them that causes suffering. So rather than trying to control things beyond our reach, we should focus on the one thing we truly can control: our thoughts and actions. As you begin to practice this approach, you'll notice yourself becoming more composed in various situations. You'll avoid unnecessary pain, and more importantly, you'll be able to build healthier, more resilient relationships. Don't misunderstand. This isn't about denying or suppressing emotions. It's about mastering them. Because ultimately, true strength lies in the ability to control our reactions to every situation. And that's exactly what Stoic philosophy aims to teach us. Rule 3. Prepare for loss with visualization. Have you ever wondered how to face the fear of loss with courage? Today, I'll share a method that may seem counterintuitive, but is incredibly effective. The power of negative visualization. Why negative visualization? It sounds odd, doesn't it? Why would anyone want to actively imagine losing the people or things they love? Wouldn't that just create unnecessary stress? Yet, this is one of the most powerful tools in Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, suggested this technique not to harden our hearts, but to prepare our minds for the inevitable losses life brings. The idea is simple yet profound. By mentally picturing the worst-case scenario, you can reduce the emotional impact when it actually happens. This doesn't turn you into a pessimist. Instead, it helps you cultivate the ability to accept reality as it is. I'd like to share a personal experience. I had a close friend who was considering moving abroad. We had been close for many years, and the thought of them living on the other side of the world filled me with anxiety. But rather than rejecting that fear, I embraced it. Each day, I took time to imagine life without them nearby. Envisioning daily activities on my own, imagining spending time with other friends, considering the new joys I might discover. The result: when they actually moved, I wasn't overwhelmed by sadness. Of course, the loss was still painful, but since I had mentally rehearsed it, I navigated the transition with much more ease. Another crucial aspect is recognizing that loss is a natural part of life. Everything we hold dear will eventually leave us, whether through separation, change, or even death. While this may sound grim, it's actually liberating. In relationships, most of us hope for permanence, but the truth is, nothing is guaranteed. The Stoic approach encourages us to appreciate what we have right now, accept that everything will eventually change, fully embrace the present moment. The real gift of this method is inner resilience. By continually visualizing the worst-case scenarios, you develop an inner stability that isn't easily shaken by life's changes. How to practice 1. Choose something or someone you deeply care about. 2. Spend 5 to 10 minutes each day picturing life without that person or thing. 3. Notice the emotions that come up. 4. Practice acceptance and letting go. 5. Repeat consistently. This isn't about detaching from life itself, but detaching from the illusion that everything must remain the same for us to be happy. Try this method over the next week. Start with small things, and gradually you'll notice a positive shift in how you perceive life and face inevitable changes. Remember, the goal isn't to become cold to life, but to live more deeply in each present moment. Rule 4. Focus only on what you can control. Among all the lessons in Stoic philosophy, one truth stands out that I'd like to share with you today: the art of recognizing what we can control and what is beyond our reach. This becomes especially important when we talk about detaching emotions from someone. Did you know that much of the pain in relationships stems from our attempts to control the uncontrollable? Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, emphasized repeatedly, focus only on what is within your control, your thoughts, actions, and reactions. Everything else, the behavior of others, outcomes of situations, the passage of time, is outside our control. Many misunderstand emotional detachment as becoming cold or indifferent, but it's not that at all. Emotional detachment is about letting go of our attachment to outcomes we cannot determine. When we deeply care for someone, a partner, friend, or family member, it's natural to want to influence their feelings. We hope they will care for us as we do for them. But here's the harsh truth: we cannot control the emotions of others. I learned this lesson the hard way. In a past relationship, I constantly felt like I had to keep everything together. No matter how much effort I put into planning dates, sending thoughtful messages, or being emotionally available, I always felt left behind. They pulled away. I tried harder. It was a relentless cycle of anxiety, all because I was trying to control the uncontrollable. Each small step is worth celebrating on the path to true emotional freedom. The most liberating lesson I learned was embracing emotional self-reliance, understanding that my happiness, peace, and emotional stability don't depend on another's actions or emotions. Instead, we should focus on what we can control: our thoughts, actions, and responses. The ultimate goal isn't indifference, but profound acceptance. Acceptance that life and people are unpredictable, and that no matter how much we wish otherwise, we can't control everything. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The obstacle to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The obstacles we face are not barriers, but opportunities for growth. Start by observing your relationships. Identify the things you're trying to control that are actually beyond your reach. Practice letting them go and redirect that energy into self-development. Remember, this isn't an overnight change. It's a journey, and every small step is worth celebrating on the path to true emotional freedom. Rule 5. See life from the bigger picture. You know, life is much like a large painting. When we stand too close, all we see are individual brushstrokes and tiny details, which can feel overwhelming. But when we step back, we begin to see the complete picture in all its beauty. Have you ever felt so immersed in a situation that you can't see a way out? It's entirely natural. When we're deeply attached to someone, we can easily make them the center of our universe. Happiness, self-worth, even our future seem to depend entirely on their presence or absence. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, recognized this thousands of years ago, that our troubles, fears, and desires are only fleeting moments in the endless flow of time. I remember this vividly from a personal experience. I went through a painful breakup, and for weeks, every morning felt like waking up to a future shrouded in darkness. Everything around me reminded me of that person, of what I had lost. Yet, it was in these darkest moments that I learned an invaluable lesson about looking beyond the immediate pain. When we step back and view our struggles as small parts of a much larger narrative, we start to realize that life isn't defined by any single event or relationship. Over time, these individual moments blend together and their intensity fades, giving way to a broader, more balanced view. In these times, try to take a mental step back and view the situation from a distance. Remember that feelings are temporary, no matter how intense they seem. Ask yourself how this will fit into the bigger picture a year from now, 5 years from now. This practice of zooming out helps us see life's challenges as small chapters in a much longer story. The goal is not to dismiss or ignore our emotions, but to understand them in context and find peace in knowing that, just like brushstrokes on a canvas, they're part of a larger masterpiece that will continue to evolve. Ask yourself, will this pain matter 5 years from now? When you're deep in the midst of heartache or a challenging situation, try asking yourself, will this pain still matter 5 years from now? Or does this person truly define my entire life? Think back to past moments when you thought your world was falling apart, relationships that ended, failures that felt insurmountable. Now looking back, what do you see? Those wounds have healed, and more importantly, you've grown stronger than ever. It's essential to recognize that everything in life is temporary. Relationships may shift, emotions will fade, and circumstances constantly evolve. This isn't a sad truth, it's a liberating one. By embracing the impermanence of everything, we can release our tight grip on what we cannot control. In your daily life, you can practice this by taking 5 minutes each day to zoom out from your current worries. Consider writing in a journal about your long-term perspective, focusing on personal growth instead of temporary losses. In your toughest moments, remind yourself to look beyond the present, recall the challenges you've overcome, and find deeper meaning in each struggle. The strongest people aren't those who never experience pain. They're the ones who know how to look beyond their immediate suffering. Each tough moment isn't the end, but rather a single stroke in the larger painting of your life. And the amazing thing is, as you start to view life this way, you'll find yourself calmer in the face of ups and downs. Emotional freedom isn't a final destination, it's a journey. Every time you choose to see the bigger picture instead of getting lost in the details, you move one step closer to true inner freedom. Remember, your life is far bigger than any painful moment. And in the grand canvas of your existence, each challenge is a color, contributing to the unique masterpiece of your life. So, lift your head, step back, and allow yourself to see the beauty of the entire journey. Thank you for joining Philosophic Stoic today. If you found value in this video, feel free to subscribe, leave a like, or simply type, "Keep it up," in the comments. Your support helps us create more content that you'll love. We appreciate having you as part of our community. Until next time, stay wise and serene. Have a great day.